Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
It is Friday, and all today's guests, including Jim Rutherford, standing by, are brought to you by Langley Chrysler. Don't miss the game because your car needs servicing. Langley Chrysler will pick up, service, and drop off your car so you don't have to miss the action. Valet service only at langleychrysler.com. Joined now by the Canucks president of hockey operations, Jim Rutherford. His first visit to our show. Jim, thanks for doing this. How are you, sir?
Pretty good, thanks.
Hey, Jim, we get this question, or we ask this question of our guests all the time. I want to ask you it. When you watch the Stanley Cup playoffs, and they've been so entertaining right now, what sticks out as to what the Canucks are missing?
Well, we need a few more players. That would be a start. But I think we have enough players in our core group that we can build off of now and get to those playoffs in a fairly short period of time. But certainly the playoffs have been terrific in the NHL this year. They're fun to watch, but you see the tempo of the games, the speed of the game, and the specialty teams and all the little details that you have to have in the playoffs that, maybe you can get away with in the regular season. It's a different game in the playoffs. And those are some of the things that we have to work towards to be more competitive.
We hear that a lot, Jim. You mentioned speed. How much of a priority is the addition of speed for you?
Well, that's a priority, but it's easy to talk about. It's a lot harder to go and start plugging some more guys in. To our guys' credit, Bruce's credit, he got our team to play quick, But with that, you'd like to see more guys that are really strong, fast skaters, and that makes it easier to play that style of game.
Jim, you haven't been in Vancouver a long time, but you've been here long enough to realize there is a fascination with JT Miller. A lot of people think he's going to be traded, but Jim, you still got to talk contract with him. And do you think you can? The goal is first to talk contract with him, Jim, right, and try to get a deal done.
Yes, that's the goal. We'll see where that goes, and then decisions will be made at that time. But, everybody thought he was going to be traded at the trade deadline, and he wasn't, and he continued on. He had a great year for the Canucks, a career year for himself, and he's got a lot of good hockey left in him. And so we're going to go through the process here, see where the contracts go, and then make a decision.
But he's put himself in a nice position for his agent, has he not, Jim? But if the number gets crazy, the Canucks possibly can't do it, though, right, Jim?
Well, that's the same as any player. I mean, we're already in a tough situation cap-wise, and we're trying to gradually untangle that so we can add new players, and so. Any player that has a contract that's up or in the future, we're going to project where they fit within our cap, so we can add more players and make this team better. So it's not just about JT. It's for all players.
Jim, this summer you get to talk to Bo Horvat's agent about an extension. Tell us, first of all, what you think of the captain, and second of all, would you like to lock him up long-term, Jim?
Yeah, I really like Bo. I've always liked him back to his junior hockey days. And he's been and I think that is very capable of being a good captain. And so the There's been good discussions with him after the season. He had a good year this year, 30-some goals, 31 goals, I believe. And he's got a lot of good hockey left in him. He's a character guy. He's a center iceman that's hard to find. And we believe that he should be part of our team going forward.
Jim, sad news. Brock Boeser's father, Duke Boeser, has passed away. Have you been able at all to talk contract with his representative, Brock's representative, during this difficult time?
We're just all the contracts right now. They're all in the preparation stage, and yes, it is very sad news about Brock's dad. I mean, he's been sick for a while. People are aware that Brock has been dealing with this for some time, and certainly affected him this year as far as his game. But hopefully the family and Brock can go through the grieving period and celebrate the good times of Duke's life, and then move on with his life and be prepared for next season.
Jim, sticking with Brock, is a qualifying offer, $7.5 million, is that a solid option for the Canucks?
Well, it makes no sense for me to get into contract talks publicly. I will say that with all our projections that we're using, that if that's what it ends up being, we can fit that within our cap.
Jim, you're in your 70s, and you, as much as anybody who's been public with the Canucks organization, you're a strong believer in analytics. A lot of people who are older hockey people, like yourself, myself, people in their 60s and 70s, they're not believers in analytics. At what point did you decide that analytics was a good idea, and how much do you use it when assessing a player and a team?
Well, I've used it for a long time, and I use it as a checkpoint, okay? I don't make final decisions based on analytics, but you have to have a good analytics department. Anytime you can have more information about something, it's going to give you a better chance to make the right decision. And analytics are certainly different in hockey from other sports. Like in baseball, it's more of an individual sport, and analytics is used a certain way. In hockey, with being a team sport, you have to look at the analytics. You have to look at what you see, and then have some kind of compromised position on that. But where I really use it a lot is when we have people that are in person, watching players, watching the team, watching the game, watching our future draft picks. And then I look, and they have an opinion. And then I look at analytics, and the opinion is totally opposite. That's when you really have to drill down. That's when you go back to the people that are out there in the field, and they're watching these games in person. You say, why is this? And then you get in a long conversation, and eventually you get to a point that you're comfortable with what the analytics are saying and what the people are saying. So analytics are a great tool. I think that one of the things in my situation where I've been around the game for a long time, you have to be willing to change, and you have to be willing to change with the times. And if you are, then you get the opportunity to stick around longer. And so I like analytics. We have a very good analytics department with the Canucks, and I like what they do.
Hey, Jim, your zone exit structure press conference a few weeks back, and you also mentioned the lack of an extension for Bruce Boudreau during that press conference. How much respect do you have for Bruce Boudreau in that he has come out publicly and said, and this is in line with what you just talked about, he's come out publicly and said he wants to improve as a coach?
Well, I have a lot of respect for Bruce. I've known him for, we were friends in our early 20s, And so I've known Bruce for a long time. I have a lot of respect for him. He did a terrific job for the Canucks last year. He came in a tough situation where the team had fallen way behind in the standings. He made players believe in themselves. He got the most out of most of the players on the team and almost made it across the finish line. You know, we just ran out of runway at the end of the season there as far as catching up and catching a playoff spot. So he's really done a good job.
Jim, I mentioned that you mentioned structure during that press conference. What are you looking for when it comes to a team's structure?
Just be more conscious of the details, being stronger in our own end. You know, we get in our own end, we get running around, we get bailed out by Demko a lot of times. And just, I mean, you asked me about the playoffs, what I thought of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at the playoffs, and then those teams have structure. There's attention to detail, and so that's going to be important for us to go to the next level here going forward.
Jim, a couple of quick ones, and then we'll let you go. But no second-round pick this year at the draft. Will you work hard to get a second-rounder, Jim? The last 2 years, so many first- and second-rounders being missed. It's hard to fill the cupboards with prospects when you don't have first- and second-rounders. Will you try this draft coming up to get at least a second-rounder?
Well, if you get one, you're giving away a good player on your team, okay?
Yeah.
And we need to add to our team, but we also need to look at, do we move a player or two out to get more cap space? So there's a lot of moving parts here. Everything's on the table, but I think it will be hard to add a draft pick. I mean, I'll say the obvious: if we want to move somebody like JT Miller, we'll add a draft pick, but we'll also lose a really good player, and so we have to be a little bit cautious on how we do all this at this point. I mean, everybody understands the situation the Canucks are in, but we all get impatient. And if we get too impatient, we're going to move too fast and we'll take a step backwards instead of a step forward. So we'll just take this step by step and try to improve with each step that we make.
Is there going to be a possibility of you adding a veteran goaltender for Abbotsford, Jim? Because Spencer Martin's up with the big team, and DiPietro's got some young guys down there. Do you see adding a veteran goaltender this summer, Jim?
That's been discussed. You know, it's such an important position, and if you run into injuries with your top guy or your top two guys, you have to have somebody that can come in there and play some games. So that's something we're discussing, and we'll probably look at doing.
Okay, Jim, before I let you go, how would you compare the media attention you're getting in Vancouver versus Carolina and Pittsburgh?
I don't know. I don't follow it on a regular basis, so I know we're in a very passionate market in Vancouver, and the whole state of British Columbia loves the Canucks, and so I know how that goes. But I also came from a team that we just won 2 Stanley Cups and has a lot of media attention with one of the greatest players in the game. So I think it's probably comparable.
Okay, so it sounds like you don't mind the media attention. Jim, would you be open to joining us twice a week during the hockey season?
I don't see a great advantage for me in doing that. But I'll get back to you on
that.
Okay. Yeah, take your time in deciding, Jim.
Okay. Jim, thanks for this. Appreciate it. We want to get you back on. Maybe not twice weekly, but we want to get you back on. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Thanks, guys. Take care.
You bet. That's not going to happen.
Not going to happen.
There's a lot there. We'll flesh it out in the next segment.
We'll flesh it out.
Our interview with Jim Rutherford, Grand Poobah of the Vancouver Canucks. That's next. Donnie and Dolly, the team on Check.
Donnie and Dolly, the team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.